हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम टू माय चैनल ओमनी ज्ञान। मेरे चैनल ओमनी ज्ञान में आप सब लोगों को फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। सो अनदर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पोइट्री फॉर क्लास 12, okay, from the book Flamingo, My Mother at 66. And this beautiful poetry, emotional poetry poem has been written by Kamala Das, who is an Indian poet, okay. And I'm going to make here a line by line explanation. So class 12 students of both MBOSE and CBSE can watch the video, okay, from the book Flamingo. So without much ado, delay, let us start the explanation. Now, let us read the lines from the poem, okay. Now, since the poem is not divided into stanzas, so you can just follow the lines and the explanations, okay. So, driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doze open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain. Okay, now you see, first of all, when you look at the lines of the poem, these are not rhyming. Okay, the lines do not rhyme. Okay, so it is called blank verse. What is it called? It is called blank verse. मतलब जब rhyming नहीं मिलता है, it just looks like a paragraph, right? Okay, so Kamala Das is actually quite popular in these kind of writings. ठीक है, तो इन लाइन्स का हम लोग मीनिंग देख लेते हैं. लेट अस सी द मीनिंग्स ऑफ दिस लाइन फर्स्ट. ओके, नाउ एक्चुअली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज दैट द पोइट इज गोइंग टू कोचिन एयरपोर्ट. ओके, पोइट जो है वो कोचिन एयरपोर्ट जा रहा है ऑन वन फ्राइडे मॉर्निंग, एंड विथ हर इज हर ओल्ड मदर सिटिंग बिसाइड हर. ठीक है, तो द पोइट इज एक्चुअली ट्रैवलिंग इन अ कार एंड शी इज गोइंग टू कोचिन एयरपोर्ट on one Friday morning, and with the poet inside the car is her old mother who is sitting beside her. Now the poet looks closely at her mother's face. तो poet जो है अपनी माँ की तरफ बहुत closely वो देख रही है. Okay, and the poet's mother was 66 years old. Now let me tell you one thing I missed it out in the beginning, is that Kamala Das is a female poet or a poetess. Okay, so what is the age of the poet's mother? The age of the poet's mother is 66 years. Okay, तो poet की मम्मी की age जो है वो 66 years है, जो कि वो बहुत old है. ठीक है, now here in this poem you see the poet presents the image of her old mother in this poem. Now this poem is going to be a little bit emotional also, and the poet is basically presenting the image, the picture of her old mother, how her mother looks now when she has become old. ठीक है, तो आगे देखते हैं हम लोग. नाउ यू सी शी कंपेयर्स हर मदर टू अ डेड बॉडी. आई जस्ट शो यू द लाइन फ्रॉम द पोम. ओके, सी हियर, ashen like that of a corpse. Corpse मतलब dead body. Okay, I have also at the end given some important word meanings. Okay, important and difficult word meanings so that you can understand the poem better. ठीक है, तो she compares, the poet compares her mother to a dead body actually. Why she compares her mother to a dead body? We will learn this. Okay, now this figure of speech used is a simile. ये जो comparison है mother with a dead body, this is called a simile. When you compare one thing with the other thing, that is called a simile. And simile is which shows the comparison between her mother's face and a corpse, मतलब dead body. Okay, so the comparison is between her mother's face and a dead body. So basically her mother's face and a dead body's face is same. That means, see, a dead body is lifeless, right? You all of you know about it. Okay, a dead body is lifeless, so even the poet's mother's face is also lifeless. There is no smile, there is no cry, nothing, expressionless, so lifeless completely. So in that manner only the poet compares her mother's face or her mother with a corpse, okay, with a dead body. Now why is it like that? You see, first of all, her mother has become very old. Okay, so when she looks at her mother, when the poet is looking at her mother, she, first of all, the poet looks at her mother's pale and lifeless face. There is no happiness, there is no enjoyment, it is blank. Okay, her pale and lifeless face, and after seeing this pale and lifeless face, she feels very pained. The poet feels very pained. Poet को बहुत दर्द होता है कि मेरी माँ जो है धीरे धीरे बूढ़ी होती जा रही है. शी इज़ बिकमिंग ओल्ड, देयर आर रिंकल्स ऑन हर फेस, शी हैज़ लॉस्ट द कलर ऑफ हर फेस दैट जनरली यंग पीपल हैव. सो दिस थॉट मेक्स द पोएट very painful. Okay, the poet fears, a poet का डर क्या है? Poet fears that she might lose her mother one day. because her mother is becoming older and older day by day. So it might be that one day she might lose her mother, or in other words, her mother might die one day. This is the fear of the poet. Okay, I hope you have understood. Okay, now her mother is sleeping in the car actually when she is going to the Cochin airport, and she's sitting inside the car with her mother. Her mother is actually her sleeping in the car. Okay, so her mother's sleepy face with an open mouth looks like a dead body. So when her mother is sleeping, actually her mother is sleeping in the car, inside the car. Now the poet keeps looking at her mother, and the poet finds that when her mother is sleeping now inside the car and she is sleeping with her mouth open, मुंह खोल के पोएट की माँ जो है वो गाड़ी के अंदर सो रही है, and that open mouthed mother looks like exactly a dead body, the way a dead body looks. Okay, lifeless, no expression on the face. Okay, see, even her face also, even the mother's face had turned gray like ash due to her old age. Now in our Hindu tradition, actually you see ash is compared to the ash of the, see, our dead bodies are generally cremated, okay, burned in the crematorium, okay, in the cremation ground, at the cremation ground. Okay, and those firewood inside which, or a dead body is placed in the middle of the firewood. There will be many firewoods, and then finally what will happen, the body will be burned. Now what happens to the wood? It turns into ash. What happens to the dead body? It turns into ashes, right? So there is a very grave description that the poet gives in this poem. Okay, एक बहुत ही grave and very strong expression that the poet gives in this poem actually, that her face had turned grey just like an ash. Ash is compared to the ash of the dead body. Okay, so it's a very grave and strong expression that the poet gives. Why her mother's face is like that? Because of her old age. She has turned 66 now. Okay, hugely old age. Okay, बहुत ही ज़्यादा उनकी उम्र है, तो उनका चेहरा जो है वो ऐश की तरह हो चुकी है. Okay, now we continue with the next lines, that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her wan pale. Okay, the lines will continue again. Let me explain you this. Now again, if you see, these are blank verses. Okay, the lines look as if it is an essay, a paragraph. Okay, now we go with the explanation. Now the poet shifted her attention from her mother and looked outside. Now because the poet was getting very emotional at the fear of losing her mother, माँ को खो जाने के डर से poet जो है वो बहुत दुखी हो रही थी. तो poet tried to shift her attention from her mother, and so the poet started looking outside the car. गाड़ी के बाहर वो देखने लगे, and she was traveling in a car. So in order to deviate her attention, okay, from her mother, she started looking outside now. She was no more looking at her mother. Now when she looked outside, the outside world was full of life and movement. Now this is another comparison between the poet's mother and the life outside. So the world outside was full of life, full of enjoyment, full of fun. Okay, now the poet observed that the young trees looked like they were running quickly. Obviously, when you travel in a car, what happens? You see trees, buildings, electric poles, roads, all running backside very quickly, right? So in the similar manner, you see everything looked very young. To the poet, everything outside looked very young, but inside, that is inside the car, her mother herself was old. Okay, तो बाहर सब कुछ यंग था, लेकिन अंदर जो है, मतलब गाड़ी के अंदर जो है उसकी मम्मी जो है वो ओल्ड थी. Okay, so everything outside was young. Even the children looked very happy and they were coming out of their homes. तो बच्चे जो है बाहर बहुत खुश थे. As the car was moving, no, she could see that the trees are moving, running very quickly. Okay, even the children looked very happy and all of them are coming out of their homes to play together. ठीक है, तो ये सब जो है पोएट एंजॉय कर रही थी, बिकॉज शी वांटेड टू शिफ्ट हर अटेंशन फ्रॉम हर मदर to outside, because you see the fear of losing her mother was coming to her mind again and again. So she wanted to change her mind. That is why she kept looking outside. Now finally they reached the airport, Cochin airport. वो पहुंच गए. They were now at the airport and had to go through a security check. Now all of you know that when you enter the airport, you have to go through a security check. Now The poet stood a few yards away from her mother. Now I would like to request all of you to keep the book in front of you. आप जो किताब है वो अपने आप पास रखिए so that you can relate to the lines. Okay, so the poet stood a few yards away from her mother. ठीक है, few yards away means we can say that stood at a distance from her mother. अपनी माँ से वो थोड़ी डिस्टेंस में खड़ी थी because she had to undergo the security check. Now again she looked at her old mother. Once again the poet now looked at her old mother. And once again, you see, the poet felt very sad to see her mother's colorless, lifeless, and pale face. So, once again, the poet's attention fell on her mother, and she felt very, very sad to see that my mother is getting older, which is evident of the fact that her face had become colorless. There was no color on the face. Okay, it was lifeless, just like a dead body, and it had turned very pale. Okay, the the beauty of her entire face had become faded. वो ख़त्म हो रहा था धीरे धीरे. As we grow old, you see, the beauty gets away from our body, our face, right? So she again started feeling very sad, thinking about her mother, and by looking about her mother or looking at her mother. Okay, ठीक है. Now the last 4 lines of the poem. As a late winter's moon and fell that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear, but all I said was, see you soon, Amma. All I did was smile and smile and smile. And the poem ends here. Okay. Now what is the explanation of the 4 lines? The explanation is that the poet's mother's face looked pale and weak, just like the faded moon at the end of winter. Winter season में moon का जो shine है वो ऐसा लगता है कि मून का जो शाइन है दैट इज लॉस्ट. द शाइन ऑफ द मून हैज़ लॉस्ट और इट हैज़ फेडेड अवे, है ना. इन द सेम मैनर अगेन देयर इज अ सिमिली. व्हाट इज अ सिमिली? हर मदर्स फेस इज कंपेयर्ड टू द फेडेड मून एट द एंड ऑफ विंटर. ठीक है, ये एक फिर से ये एक सिमिली है, कंपैरिजन बिटवीन द मदर्स फेस एंड द फेडेड मून. तो हर मदर्स फेस वॉज लुकिंग लाइफलेस, पेल, वीक, जस्ट लाइक द फेडेड मून एट द एंड ऑफ द विंटर. विंटर के एंड में जैसे मून का शाइन जो है वो फेड हो जाता है, इन द सेम मैनर हर मदर्स फेस ऑल्सो लुक्ड पेल एंड वेरी वीक. एंड दिस साइट वंस अगेन मेड द पोएट फील अ डीप ओल्ड सैडनेस. ओल्ड मतलब वही पुराना फीलिंग पोएट के अंदर आया दैट माई मदर इज़ गेटिंग ओल्ड एंड वन डे माई मदर विल डाई. एंड दिस थॉट एक्चुअली वॉज मेकिंग द पोएट वेरी सैड. ओके, डिप्रेस्ड एंड सैड. ठीक है. Now her childhood fear of losing her mother came back. Again you see this fear of losing her mother came back. Whenever she looked at her mother, this fear of losing her mother came back. जब भी वो अपनी माँ की तरफ देखती थी, ये जो डर है कि मेरी माँ मर जाएगी एक दिन, मैं मेरी माँ को एक दिन खो दूंगी, ये फियर जो है, डर जो है बार बार पोइट के अंदर आ रहा था. ओके, शी ट्राइड टू स्टे काम बट शी डिड नॉट शो एनी एक्सप्रेशन, any emotion to her mother in front of her mother. Okay, she tried to stay normal, she tried to stay calm, normal, and she did not show her any emotions. She did not show her mother any emotions. She just smiled and looked normal while saying goodbye to her mother. So it was now time for her to get inside the plane. Now let me tell you, mother is not going with the daughter. मदर जो है वो डॉटर के साथ, वो पोइट के साथ नहीं जा रही है. मदर जस्ट केम टू से गुड बाई, ओके, टू द पोइट. अपनी बेटी को जस्ट गुड बाय कहने के लिए वो एयरपोर्ट आई थी. मदर इज़ नॉट गोइंग विद द डॉटर. नाउ मे बी डॉटर इज़ गोइंग आउट फॉर हायर स्टडीज़ और सम वर्क. ओके, नाउ द पोइट was sad inside, but outside she did not show her sorrow. Outside she did not show her depression. Okay, she smiled and she looked normal and she said goodbye to her mother. It was time for her to get inside the plane, and the line ends saying that she said, see you soon, Amma. Okay, Amma means mother. Okay, Amma means mother, especially South Indian people, they call mother as Amma. Okay, so she said, see you soon, Amma, and the poem ends here. Now what is the basic thing that we learn from the poem? The first thing we learn from the poem is that it tells us the mother and daughter relationship. ये माँ और बेटी के रिलेशनशिप के बारे में हमें बता रहा है. ओके, इट इज़ एक्सप्लेनिंग अबाउट द मदर एंड डॉटर रिलेशनशिप. द सेकेंड थिंग इज दैट द पोएट इज़ वेरी possessive about her mother. Possessive in the sense that every time she looks at her mother, she feels very emotional because she is afraid. Okay, she is afraid of the fact that she might one day lose her mother, because her mother was getting older and older day by day, and one day her mother might die. Okay, so this is the fear that we see in the poet. Okay, so the poem shows a very strong relationship between a mother and a daughter, the daughter's feelings for her mother. Okay, so all these are themes of the poem. Okay, so if you like the poem, you can put a like. Okay, I get very less likes actually, so once you watch the video, please put a like. Your like gives me a lot of motivation. I'll do the word meanings for you. Okay, and the important word meanings. Doze means to sleep lightly for a short time, बहुत कम समय के लिए सोना. Ashen means very pale, just like the color of ash, usually because of old age or illness. Like she compares her mother's face with ash. Okay, so it is because of old age and illness. Corpse means a dead body. I already told you. Sprinting means what? Running very fast for a short distance. So sprinting मतलब इतना आप याद रखिए, running very fast. Then we have merry. Merry means happy and cheerful. Spilling is coming out or falling out in large numbers, like water from a container or children rushing out. Now here in this poem actually, spilling means coming out in large numbers, especially referring to the children who are rushing together out of their houses. So spilling यहाँ पे यही है कि बच्चे जो है अपने घर से सारे एक साथ जो है निकल रहे हैं. Wan means pale and weak looking, usually because of tiredness, sadness or sickness. तो यहाँ पे old age भी एक factor है. Wan refers to her mother's face, okay, which is pale, weak because of old age. फिर आते हैं last two word meanings पे. Pale, having little color in the face, often due to fear or illness. अब it can be old age also. Especially in this poem actually everything is based on old age, refers to old age. तो जब चेहरे का कलर उड़ जाता है ओल्ड एज के कारण, इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट इट इज ओल्ड एज, नॉट इलनेस, नॉट फियर. ओके, एक मीन्स पेन. ओके, एक मीन्स पेन, यहाँ पे दर्द, एक का मीनिंग. तो एक हियर इज रेफर टू द पोएट्स पेन. वेन एवर शी थिंक्स दैट आई एम गोइंग टू लूज माई मदर वन डे, दैट पेन that is inside the poet actually ache. Okay, so please, the poem ends here. I have discussed the word meanings with you. Please do comment in the comment section that how you like the poem, whether you felt emotional or not. How is your relationship with your mother, overall with your mother and father, also with your parents. Okay, do mention all these things in your in the comment section. Okay, and I am providing notes for from classes 9 to 12. Okay, you can purchase these special notes. There are many notes available on my website which is absolutely free of cost, but even outside that, if you require any special notes, you can definitely DM me on Instagram. Many students are getting the benefit after purchasing the notes. Okay, and at very discounted prices. Okay, so that's all from me for today. Please subscribe to the channel, like and share my videos, and do follow me on Instagram. ओके, मुझे इंस्टाग्राम पे फॉलो कीजिए. मेरा वेबसाइट आप टाइम टू टाइम चेक करते रहिए. आई गिव अ लॉट ऑफ नोटिफिकेशंस देयर. एंड वंस अगेन लेट मी रिमाइंड यू, प्लीज़ फॉलो मी इन इंस्टाग्राम, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द नोटिफिकेशंस आई गिव ऑन इंस्टाग्राम ओनली ऑन माई स्टोरीज, बोथ ऑन स्टोरीज एंड पोस्ट. ओके, तो आप इंस्टाग्राम पे मुझे ज़रूर फॉलो कीजिए. दो आई हैव गिवन द QR कोड्स हियर, you can find the links in the description box also, both Instagram and website. तो दोनों लिंक्स आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में भी मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, सो दैट्स ऑल फ्रॉम मी फॉर टुडे. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग द वीडियो. विथ लव फ्रॉम ओमनी ज्ञान एंड ऑल द बेस्ट टू ऑल ऑफ यू. थैंक यू सो मच.